Yo, this hot, this the spot. There it is, pod.com. We're interviewing the best comedians, so tune in quick and get your ears receiving them. We talking about life and life to stream right to you, from the microphone right to your home, dude. Side note, this might get embarrassing, but no, don't sweat, yo, cause there it is.
Welcome to the There It Is podcast, a comedy podcast to help you find your inspiration. I'm your host, Jason Farr. Let's do this. Thanks so much for being here. Thoroughly appreciate it. We have a very fun episode for you today. It's with the Of the Show boys, and we are talking all that pop about basketball movies. Super fun. We really get into it, and I'll just let you know now, we got so into the weeds that we're going to have to try to do a bonus episode to cover some of the things that we got in there. But let's just get right to it. Here's my chat with the Of the Show boys. Are you ready to start the basketball movie bracket episode? And then cheering, just tons of cheering from the audience, I imagine. And your starters, starting at guard, from North Carolina, brother of the show, Trey. Cheering. Not quite as loud, but still cheering.
Very funny. Let's all laugh at the duck.
And on band, starting on band, from Kentucky, best friend of the show, Rob.
I really thought you were going to say the shortest center ever to play for at 5'10".
And it host, Jason Farr. I threw myself in there the way they announced Seth Meyers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Meyers.
You ever listen to that guy?
Yeah,
It's like, and your host, Seth Meyers. They just kind of like say it.
Yeah, it's not like Conan O'Brien.
Right.
Conan O'Brien.
Right. It's just Seth Meyers.
Yeah, then there's also It's Him.
Yeah, I was laughing to Trey about this clip from the Dennis Miller show, not Dennis Miller Live on HBO, the show that he had briefly before that. And the announcer guy, he just said, ladies and gentlemen, it's him.
And now, it's him.
And then Dennis Miller walked out. I was like, that's terrible.
I think that was just one time he did it that way, because
that-
another clip I saw, it was different. Like they tried to mix it up, I guess.
He sure does.
That was Nick Bakay, by the way, Rob,
Yeah.
doing the announcing for Dennis Miller.
Oh.
I couldn't help but laugh at that.
Yeah.
This is the Of the Show guys.
Yeah.
Because Justina wasn't able to join simply because she knew she was not going to have anything to say about basketball movies.
It felt a little. I was like, I don't want to assume Justina's watched a lot of basketball movies, but yeah.
I'll tell you right now, she has seen 3 that are on the bracket. And
Because you watched them this week.
We just
right?
watched, yes.
Let me guess: Thunderstruck, Airbud, and Glory Road.
Airbud is actually not streaming anywhere, Rob.
It's
I was
not.
trying to find it. No,
Oh.
like it's a Disney
That's
movie and it's
insane.
not on Disney Plus. They've got like the Air Buddies.
That's what I was gonna say, because Air Buddies was on there, and because I watched Space Buddies one morning with my son, and had a lobotomy after it. But yeah, so I just assumed it was on there. I've
I
seen
was
it.
trying to.
I've legitimately seen Airbud. So
I
like,
want to see
I wanted to
Airbud.
see it because
I
I saw the
remember when
trailer.
it came out.
yeah, it was hilarious.
I always thought it was a funny premise, and it's just like silly, you know? And
Yeah.
Steve Higgins kept referencing it on Fallon. He keeps saying there's nothing in the rule book that says a dog
Dog
can't
can't
play
basketball.
basketball.
Won't find anything in there that says a dog can't play.
He's right. Ain't no rule said the dog can't play basketball.
It's a good clip, and I watched it when I was making the promo.
How you do that?
And it looked like I would probably actually like the movie because I think they put actual thought into it.
There's someone I follow who used to write for Fallon, and then she moved on to write for Lily Singh. And more recently, she worked on Murderville, which I loved. Marina Kockenberg is her name. And I follow her on social media. And she was posting once that she helped her team win a trivia night because she could name all 5 of the Air Bud movies that had come out by that point. Yeah. Like just off the top of her head. Ever since, whenever I think of Air Bud, she comes to mind. I've even like chatted with her about the fact that she knows those movies.
That's pretty amazing. I don't think I can do it.
Pretty hilarious.
And I'm a freak, and I don't think I can do it. Can you put in the clip of Colin Jost saying, "Yeah, but I'm a freak"?
Colin would let me.
Yeah, but I'm a freak.
Notes, Trey. Get you for the YouTube.
I'm typing.
Speaking of a movie I've always wanted to see but hadn't seen, Love and Basketball.
You hadn't seen it?
Oh,
I hadn't
man.
seen. I'd seen parts of it, and I always wanted to see it. When it came out, I remember I was like, I want to see it. I love Omar Epps. I was a big fan, and wanted to see it, and just messed around. Never saw it until the other day. Loved it. Thought it was great. Just finished watching He Got Game, another movie. I was like, I love Spike Lee and I love Denzel, and I saw parts of that and was like, this movie looks great, and I just never got around to seeing it.
A few years ago, after I moved to LA, when I first got like premium channels, is the first time I finally saw He Got Game, and I watched it again this past week because I loved it the first time, so I wanted to watch it again and lead up to this.
I don't want to talk about it yet, but I've listened to a podcast with Denzel, and it was a lot of talking about He Got Game. It was glorious.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. I actually saw a headline that was Ray Allen saying Denzel wasn't actually supposed to score on him.
No, okay.
That's what I saw. Yes, I read that.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, he scored 3. He like Denzel grew up like playing in New York and like at the Boys and Girls Club. He was okay, but obviously wasn't as, he's not Ray Allen.
He's not Ray Allen.
He's not Ray Allen. Yeah, he's not NBA ready.
But I think Ray was nervous because they're acting and like obviously it's not his world. And like Spike told Denzel, he was like, give it to him. Like, like give it. And so like Ray didn't know it was coming. So like that's what I mean. So that's like legitimate. Like he's like he can't believe
pissed for real.
He's one. That's the only best you getting all game.
Really pissed for real. He cannot, because he thought they were just gonna be like playing.
Right.
And then like Denzel's like actually trying, and so he got mad.
All right, we're gonna cut out all that lucky shit.
That's sort of, when I read that, it reminded me of something that happened in college because I was playing 21 with a couple guys from the basketball team.
Grant Hill.
Todd Singleton. Well, no, Grant was gone. But Todd Singleton, who was a walk-on, and then Mike Chappelle, who ended up transferring, and he won the national championship with Michigan State in 2000. Really? So we were playing 21 after practice one day, and I was just playing. I was just trying. I didn't pick up on how guys were taking stuff.
Yeah.
And so I had like stolen the ball or gotten a couple of rebounds a couple of times and like was able to rush out, because it wasn't the style of 21 that they played in Love and Basketball where you could just steal it and immediately lay it up.
Yeah.
Like we actually had to take it back.
I thought that was interesting in Love and Basketball.
Yeah. Well,
same person who directed it wrote it, and I wonder if they actually know anything about basketball.
She ran track at UCLA.
All right, that explains.
Oh, is that explains it?
Yeah. But anyway, so I took it back and like did a turnaround jump shot on Todd. Who's like 6 whatever, and I'm 5'11" with shoes on. And so I hit a couple of those kinds of shots. And apparently, I didn't notice this myself, but apparently Todd started getting pissed. He's like slapping the floor and shit.
Yeah.
Mike Chappelle's laughing so hard, he like takes himself out of the game. He's just sitting on the sidelines laughing because it's like Todd's taking it serious. But that's kind of how it sounded like Ray Allen took it.
Yeah.
When
well, should we
hit those shots.
Should we preference, Trey's background? I don't know if have you ever mentioned it on the podcast?
I
Trey's
don't
background?
feel like you have.
I don't think so.
I don't think we ever talked about it. So
I was a manager for the basketball team at Duke all 4 of my years. And so I was the same year as Wojo and came in with Trajan, but he redshirted Trajan Langdon. Cherokee Parks was a senior my freshman year. So he and Eric Meek were like the last remnants, and Kenny Blakeney were the last remnants of the championship teams.
What year did Leitner graduate in 92?
Yeah, he graduated in 92, Hurley in 93, and Grant in 94. So when
I didn't think they graduated the same year. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and my senior year was Elton Brand as a freshman, Shane Battier as a freshman.
Yeah.
Will Avery.
And I love Elton because he was so nice to our mom. At the banquet at the end of the year, Trey introduced our mom to Elton, and Elton went, "Are you Joe's mommy?" And I was like, "Oh, this guy's the sweetest dude." He was so sweet and charismatic. I really liked him for that. So whenever anyone's talked bad about him since, I was like, "You go to hell. Elton Brand was nice to my mom. He called my mom mommy. You son of a... You don't talk about him that way."
When I got to ESPN and folks were talking bad, like a friend of mine said she hated Trajan Langdon. And I was like, Trajan?
Why do you?
Trajan, of all people, Trajan. Trajan's like the nicest, the quietest dude who didn't talk trash.
Most unassuming. That was her personal problem.
Yeah.
That was very much her problem.
UConn people hated Duke because in 1990, Leitner hit another the shot.
UConn not playing the passer. All right, here is Leitner with the shot, and it scores.
Yeah.
Before the shot.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up.
Yeah.
And it was against UConn, and so UConn people hated us ever since. I actually didn't know this until I got to ESPN. ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut. So my first day on the job. So I started in May of '99 at ESPN. We lost to UConn in the championship in March of '99.
Yeah.
And so again, I still, even though we lost, and I was at the game and kind of saw everything unfolding. It was the year after I graduated. I still didn't know the hate that UConn had, but my first day at ESPN, I go to my cubicle, and so that season, ESPN the magazine had a cover that said "Duke or Die," and it was Elton and Will Avery and whoever. It might have only been those two, and so somebody doctored it and put it in my cube, and it said "Duke died." And then And what I didn't know they were going to do is they sent an email before my first day saying, "Please welcome, here are the new people who are about to start." And so they gave my background in that email. So I didn't know this when I started. And I kept getting all these comments about UConn beating us. And I was like, how the fuck do you even know I went to
Did you see me on TV?
Handed somebody a Gatorade?
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, better not come work for ESPN.
I will tell you, Black people knew who I was. I was the only Black person in a suit other than the assistant coaches.
That makes
people
sense.
always knew.
Noticed.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
They're probably like, man, check out that guy's mustache.
It didn't look as bad then.
If you're watching this on YouTube, let me tell you, you're not going to see a picture of Trey in a mustache because he's the one who edits the video.
No, I will. I'll actually show it because my senior year photo and stuff like that. But when I was in college, I don't know what it is about when I was in high school or college, the mustache in retrospect, when I look back at pictures, those years still look fine. It's something happened as I aged, and I don't know what the hell happened.
You aged into the creepiness of the mustache in my reboot, in my imagined reboot of the podcast. It's basically just every time we go to Trey, it's just DeBarge. So
any light-skinned Black person, even with or without a mustache,
but
that's what I got called. Even by other Black people. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Oh.
Jay and I were probably the first ones to say that.
What, DeBarge?
Cousin of the show. Who's never been on. Yeah, was probably the first to say DeBarge.
Yeah.
You're probably the first, but you're not the last. And then I heard Rick Fox a lot because he was at Carolina when I was in high school.
I could see that. Yeah.
Rick Fox is too fine.
Yeah.
And I swear, audience, we will talk more about this bracket in real terms.
We're talking basketball.
So there are a lot of these that I haven't seen, and so people know. We have 4 divisions as always. There's comedies, there's dramas. You could imagine those would be on there, but we have documentaries. I was able to find 8 documentaries that should have been included. And the last section was sort of here's what's left because there were so many dramas, so many comedies, and so many documentaries to choose from that I knew that those were going to be the choices. That I knew those were going to be 3 of the divisions. So the final one is where the family films and the animated films and the romance or romantic comedies come in to play. So they don't all match up necessarily like dramas or comedies and documentaries would, but I am still very happy with how that division laid itself out.
Actually, I think besides like me disagreeing with some of your placements for brackets, it is actually when we talked about it, this is what I envisioned. So I was pretty impressed.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there were certain ones where I was like, okay, those 2 should be matched up together in the first round or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they were similar kinds of movies.
Or the don't call it a sequel.
Right. Like Space Jam and Space Jam A New Legacy, that made sense to put up against each other.
Or like put it like not forgetting movies like Just Right or Forget Paris, which are, I mean, they're not like Hoosiers, but they're not necessarily semi-pro either. So it's kind of
right. They I think that was up well, and they were both romantic comedies of a certain style. I felt like that made those 2 work well together.
We had the animated category in Christmas movies, and it's just like for most of us, it was like we just hadn't seen a lot of them. But like with that one, I mean, I'd seen actually most of that category, so I was like, oh, I'm pretty happy. And even documentaries, I'd seen a lot of them. So
right. Yeah, so I liked a lot of the matchups. There were some nice, like I was glad that the way back was against Coach Carter because it pitted Ben Affleck against Samuel L. Jackson again.
You see what I can do to you?
You know what I can do to you? Try to kill me? You know who I am? You know who I am? You see what I can do to you?
What was the name of that movie?
Changing Lanes, bro.
Changing Lanes, yeah. I know. I wanted to say Sliding Doors or something. I was like, no, that's a totally different thing.
That was Gwyneth Paltrow, and he did
exactly. Yeah, Trey, you'll have to put a clip of that in.
Yeah,
We've been
I'm
making
typing
that
it
reference for 20 years. We've made a reference to that movie.
20 years. I'm obsessed with Changing Lanes.
So let's talk about what the tough matchups were first, like we have a tendency to do. And let's go with the comedy category first. And Rob, why don't you tell us in that category where you ended up having
the very first one. It was very hard for me because I love semi-pro. I think semi-pro is hilarious. I think it's I was shocked to see it at 8th place. I texted you about it, but like I was shocked because I think, and one, Celtic Pride is garbage, so it was like easy, like that there was no playoff there. Like that was very
that
easy.
Almost didn't make it, but it made a
you
couple
have
of
to
best
put
of
it.
lifts.
Yeah, you have to put it
why?
in there.
It's not a good movie. No one likes that movie.
No, it's not that funny.
why.
But like semi-pro is funny. Like, and obviously, please right now insert Jive Turkey scene because that part is just so funny.
You were never no Jive Turkey. You just call me a Jive Turkey. Called you cocksucker, right, Cornelius?
Yeah. I just called you cocksucker.
I'm pretty sure that you called me a Jive Turkey.
Nobody called anyone a JT.
Jive Turkey is a little over the line, my man.
He just said you suck cock. That's all.
I'm gonna show you guys this game that I learned when I was in fucking. Oh, no! Who's the Jive Turkey now? Gun's not loaded! You should have seen your goddamn face! The gun was not loaded. Shoots himself in the wiener. Everybody okay?
We just literally dodged a bullet.
Except for Cornelius.
Oh, I did get shot.
Like it's just.
I do love that scene.
I love that scene. But there's some.
I really enjoyed that movie.
And it's actually got some decent basketball in it. I mean, obviously, and it all kind of hinges at the I just love so in the film, Will Ferrell owns the Flint Tropicals. So Flint, Michigan has a team in the ABA, and they're the Flint Tropicals, which is ridiculous. And Flint, Michigan. So he the reason he bought the team was because he has a hit song called "Love Me Sexy."
Baby, who wants to love me sexy? Take off your shoes and suck me sexy. When I say love me, you say sexy. Love me
Sexy.
But when he in the last game in the movie, he gets knocked out and he like goes to heaven, and he meets his mom, who's played by Patti LaBelle. And she teaches him the alley-oop, and so they start doing the alley-oop in the movie. And so, and it's got a good cast. It's got Andre 3000, Andre Benjamin.
Yeah,
he plays Coffee
I really
Black.
enjoyed the movie too. It was it did have Tim Meadows and Andy Richter,
Rob Corddry, and Will Arnett. And
I mean, it's got so many great people, and it was
Matt
watching
Walsh.
That scene, like
he plays
that was
the ref.
That movie was a
ref.
flop. That movie did not do well. It ended up being a flop because they spent a lot of money on it, and it only made $44 million. And so it wasn't even like a modest success.
Yeah.
I believe it was like it didn't make its money back, but it also was just really a tepid response from users. Like the user scores for that were not good.
God, it's so strange. So many funny scenes in that movie. Like I love, but I mean, obviously White Man Can't Jump. We'll get into it later, but that's gonna win win it. And that's why I was mad, because I'm like, damn it, why can't I have gone against Uncle Drew, or as I like to call it, Uncle Anti-Vaxxer?
Well, I mean, it's perfect that it's Uncle Drew, because that is the person that would be the anti-vaxxer, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Your uncle. That was an easy one to say. Fish that saved Pittsburgh, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, no, I did actually put Uncle Drew over Fish that saved Pittsburgh.
Damn.
Well, Trey and I did. I've never seen it.
Like Little
Rel. Lou Hudson's in it, so I like Lil Rel too.
And I like Nick.
I know Lou Hudson. Like he's a friend of the family.
Yeah, he was on the LA team at the end, because it was the Lakers, but they couldn't say Lakers, so they called them a fake LA team.
Oh,
so it was the actual starters of the Lakers at the time, which was Lou Hudson and Kareem and Norm Nixon and whoever else. It was before Magic was drafted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Lou's sister is my godmother, so I had to represent. And Dr. J and Meadowlark Lemon, come on.
I know. But
it has that 70s feel to it. When you
does.
see the clips, and it's just like, oh, this looks.
It's like Fast Break.
Yes. So that was the thing. When I saw this list, all the different movies that were up for this category, I was like, Fast Break, what the hell is that? And I was looking it up, and I was like, nothing against Gabe Kaplan, but this movie looks whack. And then I started putting together all the reviews and critic scores, and it just did very well too.
It's a very beloved. I think it was one of the first kind of like. Yeah, like I mean, besides
critics
like what is
were
it?
middle, they were like middle of the road. The critics, pretty much.
But I think that's is that the oldest basketball movie you have on the list, or is Fish older?
It's between those two.
I think Fish is older. I think Fast Break is 79 and Fish is 78.
Is that right? Okay,
it's about right.
Yeah. But but like Fast Break kind of hits that period, that late 70s, early 80s period. We've got a lot of sports movies from some great, and that's what, because like we originally, Jason had said, why don't we do sports movies? And I'm like, you can't do sports movies because there's too many. It's like I mean there's just too many. It's like there's 500 boxing movies. There's just so many.
There are 1,000 football movies.
I mean, it's so hard, and it's like, how do you pick?
Yeah.
And then you would talk about like something like one of my favorite sports movies ever is Breaking Away. Like, it's like I'm not into cycling, but like I love Breaking Away. It's like one of my favorites. So like, how do you
Chariots of Fire, which wouldn't make our list if you just did sports.
Yeah, God, that movie's good. So I mean, so there's just a lot. It's tough. You'd have to.
Well, yeah. It would take a
miscellaneous.
long time to put that list together.
Yeah.
Were there any other tough ones in the comedy category for you?
Not really. I was just surprised at how low Teen Wolf was, but it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, the tough matchup for me, and I do love semi-pro, but it wasn't hard for me to say White Men Can't Jump.
No,
Where it
wasn't
got
either.
tough for me was Teen Wolf versus White Men Can't Jump, and I'll say what my final four is later. But
so
I won't mention
that was hard, especially because there's so many. I mean, well, they both have very inconsistent basketball playing, especially Teen Wolf, but
the movies.
But the movies, yeah,
Great,
the movie's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, critics are the ones who brought down the Teen Wolf score, because the Metacritic score for Teen Wolf is 25.
That doesn't surprise me.
A lot of those great movies from the 70s and 80s, critics were harsh on when they came out, and then when they became like classics, critics revisited and started.
You and I watched it like 15 years ago because I got the Teen Wolf 2 double features DVD because it was on sale somewhere. And I was like, we're going to watch this because I was thinking like, we'll just laugh. But we watched the first one and we're like, this movie has a lot of heart and the actors are doing their thing.
Great.
And the coach is awesome in that movie.
Okay.
He's hilarious.
Can I do it? And I know you're going to show it, but this is one of my favorite lines ever. The 3 rules I have that I live by: never get less than 12 hours of sleep, never play cards with a guy with the same first name as a city, and never get involved with a woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body. Now you stick to that, and everything else is cream cheese.
I get it, Coach. What's that problem? There's 3 rules that I live by. Never get less than 12 hours sleep. Never play cards with a guy who's got the same first name as a city. And never go near a lady who's got a tattoo of a dagger on her body. Now you stick with that. Everything else is cream cheese. Great game there, Scotty.
It's just
as great as that guy was in the role. His name's Jay Tarsis.
Yeah,
he's mostly a writer, so he didn't act much after that. Like this is one of his few acting roles.
God,
so most of what he did after that was
Yeah.
writing. And his daughter is Jamie Tarsis, who ran CBS. I think CBS for a bit.
It was an ABC, wasn't it?
ABC, one of them.
ABC, yeah, I know.
And his son is Matt Tarsis, who is a producer on like Scrubs, 30 Rock, something.
Oh, something
yeah,
like that.
it was Scrubs.
Like that.
It was Scrubs. I remember seeing his name on there and being like, Matt Tarsis, who's that? And seeing the Jamie Tarsis thing.
Yeah.
Connection.
I mean,
yeah.
Also, just I know I already talked about this with you guys, but like, can we just Hall of Fame Boof? I mean, all time great. Why are you not dating her girl of all time?
Why won't Pamela Wells say 2 words to me?
You can do a lot better than Pamela Wells.
Like who?
Don't you have to be at work?
Hey, did I say something wrong?
No. See you at the party, okay?
Of all of those movies, absolutely.
Of all of those 80s movies, it's like she is so cool. She's such a fun hang, and she's just like, even like when they do the dance later and stuff, she's just got it. Like, man, oof.
So I 100% agree with you, and that's part of what makes the movie that much better, because I think they made it understandable because they were childhood friends.
Yeah.
So it's that we've always been best friends, so I never thought of Boof this way, sort of thing, that vibe. So you don't think you stupid, but you do think it.
You do think it, yeah.
You think it the way the real world, like, because I've been in that situation a couple of times where it's like, of course, this is the person I should be actually going for, not this other girl who's not nice to me. I've been in that situation. When you're in the situation, it makes sense. When you're out of the situation, you're like, you big dummy.
Yeah. Scott, knock it up, bro. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trey, did you have any tough matchups in the comedy section?
So I have one, and I'll get to it in a second. I haven't seen all of Semi-Pro yet. I'll watch it actually after we record, because I'll have to see it to understand it when I'm editing. So that against White Men Can't Jump wasn't as hard for me as it was for maybe you two. The tough one for me, because all of us obviously love Teen Wolf, but I just watched the winning season for the first time the other day.
It's a good movie.
And I was like, oh my God, why did you pit this against Teen Wolf in the first round? Like, that's what I was thinking when I was watching it. Because it was
too bad. I hadn't seen it.
Oh, it's great.
You had it? Oh, it's good. It's really good.
Man.
Like it was almost unfair to Teen Wolf because it's kind of like it is a comedy, the winning season. It's in the right category, but it was almost a drama.
It's
that
more
had
of a
comedic moments.
It's more of a dramedy because he's more of a sad character, and
Right.
like.
And
Mm-hmm.
the actors nailed it. It's that
Sam
great.
Rockwell.
Rockwell. Rockwell is just, you put Sam Rockwell in your movie and you're already at like 95%. So
Right.
yeah.
And Emma Roberts early in her career.
Yeah.
Margot Martindale.
Yeah, Martindale. I love Margot Martindale.
And a couple of Breaking Bad vets in
Yeah.
there. But so that was the toughest matchup for me in this because of how great both movies are. But I've lived with Teen Wolf longer.
It's
right.
too nostalgic.
It's great. And one thing, I rewatched Teen Wolf as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't know, because it wasn't in the zeitgeist yet, the mainstream zeitgeist, was just, let me back up for a second and it will make sense. So bear with me for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
One of the co-writers for Teen Wolf is a guy named Jeff Loeb. And he is a big comic book writer.
Comic book guy.
He wrote a lot of Marvel books. He wrote a lot of DC books. He was also the guy, he was running Marvel TV when that was still an entity. So he was overseeing Daredevil and Luke Cage and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So why do I bring this up? So after Scott wolfs out for the first time, the next day, he's still freaking out. And his dad's trying to sit him down and calm him down. And he says, Scott, if you want it, or when you want it, you'll have great power. And with great power, you know the rest of the line.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Are you serious?
He says it.
Oh my
when you want it, you're going to have great power. And with great power goes a greater responsibility.
When you want it, you're going to have great power. And with great power goes a greater responsibility.
Holy cow.
So not word for word. So long before Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire, Scott Howard actually did it.
Spider. He was
and
Spider.
he didn't
and
get
Michael
killed.
J. Fox. Michael J. Fox would have been a great Spider-Man in the 80s.
But here's the other thing. Because I heard that line in the movie, and then I went to look to see who wrote it, I started to see their real parallels.
Mm-hmm.
Like like Scott Howard is very much a Peter Parker type, because he's trying to learn the responsibility of having this power.
Isn't there a basketball scene in The Amazing Spider-Man? Is there?
Yeah. It's when he's showboating.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, another great kind of tying all of this together with the Spider-Man thing. One of the great scenes that really nails it for me about how great this movie is, and it's a quiet moment that I don't think too many people would pick up on, is near the end when Scott's rethinking being the wolf, because he's already, I think this is after the dance. So after he's ripped up Mick's shirt and the principal goes after him. And so he's vice principal, I should say. So he's talking to Booth and Styles in the school, and he's like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. And Styles is like, Scott, do the right thing. And this is Michael J. Fox in his Michael J. Foxius, his perfection. He said, it's all I want to do, Styles. It's all I want to do.
What are you guys talking about?
Talking about the Wolf, Styles. I can't do it anymore. You saw what happened.
Scott, you got the championship basketball game coming up in less than 4 hours. Well, what are you going to do? Let down your team, your school, this whole town? What about me? Scott, help me out. Do the right thing.
That's all I want to do, Styles. That's all I want to do.
And it's like, oh man, like you get the feels from that.
Styles.
Yeah, he's fantastic in that. Did I ever show you?
Person masturbating at the end of the last game.
What? No.
Look it up, Trey. I'm not joking.
Oh God.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Rob.
Yeah.
No, so according to what I read, that was actually a girl whose pants were too tight. So she had to unzip to sit down.
Oh, I
in
heard
a wider
about that.
shot. you can tell that it's a girl. And so when she stood back up, she zipped back up.
Okay. Yeah.
There's some sketch group, and I can't find it right now, but I hope I can find it later, that years ago did some bit where they inserted themselves in the movie Teen Wolf as like other characters. They weren't playing characters who are actually in the movie, they're just other characters.
Like the friend
stuff.
Who's not Styles.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Exactly.
I remember his name. Yeah.
And so there were all these funny bits in there, and they kept making jokes about how old the bad guy character looked. Like he wasn't.
He was upper 20s
like,
in real life.
Yeah, they were. They in the sketch they were like, he's 35 years old. Like if you see the guy, then it's like super hilarious. I wish I could find it, but the Teen Wolf television show is going to make it pretty hard for me to find that now on YouTube. Trey, if I can find that sketch, you got to include it in YouTube because it's so funny.
Look, there they are!
That's good.
Do something, Nick. Talk shit on his mom.
Okay. Your mama used to steal chickens out of the backyard until I blew her head off with a shotgun. It's good.
Wait, Mick killed Scott Howard's mother? Why isn't he in juvie?
Because he's 35.
Hey guys, all they had was tab, but the pizza should be out.
Oh my god! Oh my god, somebody help us! That werewolf just threw a bowling ball at my friend with his superhuman strength!
Did you have any other tough matchups in the comedy section?
No. I mean, and Teen Wolf ended up winning, like I said, because I mean that whole bracket.
That whole bracket.
I mean it's the comedy winner.
Oh, interesting.
Edging out White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, that was my problem too. Because White Men Can't Jump is so funny and so good. I can hear Jimmy.
No, there's certain things you can do and there's certain things you can't. I can hear Jimmy. No. I can hear Jimmy. No. Yes, I can. You can't hear.
Like, there's so many great lines in that movie. It's so I love it so much. And actually, I had filled out most of the bracket except for drama, and I didn't have my final four for drama or documentary. But I had everything else figured out except for who was going to go White Men Can't Jump or Teen Wolf. And that was the last thing I chose because I was like, I don't know what to go. That was the hardest out of everything on the bracket.
I felt like the Sweet 16 was pretty hard. Like once you got into the Sweet 16, it got a little hard.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to documentaries now. And I guess also this is a good time to let the listener know that the way I seeded these was I counted up the different scores, Metacritic user scores, Rotten Tomato and Rotten Tomato fan scores, and IMDb scores. And I know on IMDb it'll be like 6.8. I just said that was 68 since that's how like the others work. And if it was ever a point something, I just made it 22 instead of 2.2 and averaged it out, and also took into account the box office, but that was kind of least important. And I also took into account how many best of lists they made, like best basketball movie lists. And if I had a situation where there are a lot of movies or a few movies that I couldn't decide between because maybe they were tied or it didn't make sense to not include one or two of them, because there are a couple of movies that are like no one knows these movies.
Yeah, you said one to me, and I'm like, get the F out of here. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Campus Confessions and
something else.
And the Fair Co-Ed. And I was like, I don't know these movies. But they had,
and I know a lot
they had
of
like
movies.
strong, I know, yeah. They're just old throwaway movies. But they only had IMDb scores. I couldn't find anything else for them. And their IMDb scores were decent, but it gave them a leg up against movies like Semi-Pro and Teen Wolf. I think Teen Wolf was on the bubble at one point. So like it was.
So it's basically like this year's St. Peter.
So basically, I said, well, this movie is beloved. Teen Wolf has to be on there, and that's why it's 7th, even though we all love it. But when you average its scores out between those 5 different scores, it's a 49.8. Not great. Does it deserve something higher than that? Absolutely. But even fans let it down, right?
Yeah.
Like the highest for Teen Wolf was IMDb, and that was 61.
Which is shocking to me because fans still talk positively about it. So I
Right.
don't
I know,
understand.
But like
that's
Rotten
the
Tomato
rage.
fans, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Metacritic users gave it a 69. Rotten Tomato fans gave it a 52. Those aren't great numbers. And that's why it ended up as low as it did. I would have put it at probably number 2, you know, because I love that movie. So, but that's not the way I put the brackets together. I try to just stay as objective as I can. So now let's move on to documentary, and I'll start that out and say what I had a tough time with. And it was the Elite Eight, The Last Dance versus Hoop Dreams.
Yeah, that was always going to be the hard one.
For anything that I hadn't seen, I looked up the trailer. Oh, but I had seen On the Shoulders of Giants, and if you see that,
The only one
just
I
like
hadn't
with Semi Pro and Celtic Pride, it's a play-in game essentially.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen City Dump, but City Dump and On the Shoulders of Giants had the same score. Like they were tied, legitimately tied, and that's why there's a play-in game there. But it was easy. Well, it wasn't really. I actually love On the Shoulders of Giants, but I think The Last Dance is better. But On the Shoulders of Giants, hard to find, and doesn't get enough love. I'll say that much.
Today, we can't even imagine sports without black athletes. But in the early days of basketball, the number of black players allowed to compete for national championships was 0.
I find it really hard to believe that the NBA, when it started, was segregated.
These young guys think they make $20 million a year because they can play. They were just born at the right time.
To make it, you had to get to Harlem.
If you were on the Renaissance, you were on the A1 team, who could never compete for a championship against the best white teams.
So I watched the trailer Sonic Skate and The Heart of the Game to try to decide that matchup. And I was interested in seeing Sonic Skate, not as interested in seeing Heart of the Game. Then I watched the trailers, and the trailer for Sonic Skate makes it look so cheaply made that it made me less interested to see Sonic Skate.
Learn how the Sonics were stolen from Seattle, a city held hostage. Greed.
To me, if it is a public trust, he violated that public trust.
Lies.
We have great respect for history.
The true story behind the hottest young team in the NBA. Sonic Skate, Requiem for a Team.
And The Heart of the Game made me more interested in seeing it.
No one gave the Roosevelt Rough Riders a chance.
I'm sitting there thinking, do I want this head coaching job?
Until a first-time coach
He is a fearless warrior.
took a chance on them.
Darnelia Russell has basketball skills most only dream about. But then she got ruled ineligible.
I made my decision, and I'm not going to comment.
This summer comes the incredible true story of struggle and sacrifice that proves skill makes you a player, but heart can make a dream come true.
I went with Heart of the Game.
I don't know. It's like I was kind of I think because of NBA Jams, the video game, I was kind of slightly obsessed with the Seattle Supersonics. So I remember watching Sonic Skate. Yeah, I for some reason, because who was the star player on the Sonics? Was that?
You had the glove and you had the Rain Man.
Yeah.
Kemp.
Yeah.
Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp. That's what it was. Sean Kemp. Yeah.
Trey's laughing at a reference that he's about. Trey, tell the story about the Rain Man.
So he ended up gaining a bunch of weight late in his career. And so he bounced around the league later in his career. I forget exactly where he was playing, but he couldn't, he was called the Rain Man because he had ups and he was bringing the rain, making it rain, dunking on fools. So later in his career, he couldn't get much off the floor. So one of my friends said, man, he's the puddle.
As soon as I saw you laughing, I knew that's why you're laughing.
Do you know what has slightly ruined Hoop Dreams for me? It's not ruined. It's just that unfortunately I always think of this other movie when I think of Hoop Dreams, which is the great actor Philip Seymour Hoffman in the film Along Came Polly, because they're playing basketball and he's like, make it rain,
Let it rain. Nice. Let it rain. Rain dance. Take it roll. Take it roll. Outlet. Outlet. Rain dance. Sammy. White chocolate. Sammy. Raindrops. Old school. T.
And it's clearly a reference to Hoop Dreams.
Let it rain. You want to see it rain? Let it rain. You want to see it rain? Let it rain. You want to see it rain? Let it rain. Oh! That thing choke. Got the call ball. That's 34. That's 32. I'm older now. Yeah. Ain't no con game going on no more. Get mad now. Take ball. Give me that. Throw it on. You ain't 2 years old. You ain't getting no pacify. Give me the rock. Make it rain. Make it rain. It feels good. Right there. Hey, right there.
That scene is so in Hoop Dreams is so there's something about it because it's like it's not acted, it's real life.
Yeah.
But of course he's sort of playing up for the cameras, but the way a person does when even the home video camera's on. And there is something that it like an underlying thing that's happening in that scene that makes it so uncomfortable. And it's it's just like a dad being mean to his kid, essentially.
Yeah. Well,
like
stage
he's like
dad, basically,
exerting,
dad,
and exerting power. And it was that scene is compelling.
Yeah,
that's a very compelling scene. But yeah, Hoop Dreams versus Last Dance, very difficult. I ended up going with The Last Dance.
So did
I just think overall it was so solid. And I will also say this is the only television thing that I was allowing on. I don't think I let any other TV stuff on.
It's really sticky because obviously like if you look at like OJ, the run of his life, like that one like documentary at the Oscars. And technically that was kind of like, is it TV? Is it a movie? It's a little wish-washy.
They released it theatrically first so that they could qualify.
They qualify, but like, yeah, that one's kind of, I understand how someone would say, well, The Last Dance is a little iffy, but I would say obviously this is based off my Twitter usage at the time, but like it was such in the zeitgeist from memes to people commenting. I mean, like I remember talking to somebody and they're saying, I just can't wait to find out what happened. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you not know the repeat? Like, like it was like one of the greatest moments of my childhood. Like, what are you talking about? But that's how compelling it was. And that's how well, even for me, I'm watching it. I know what happens. It's like, but I'm watching the documentary and I'm like, man, fuck John Stockton, which I still believe. And speaking of anti-vaxxer, yeah, he's crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's not at the tournament.
There aren't too many teams or players that feel cinematic, even if they're great, even if they're some of the best ever. They don't still have that legend feel. The way Michael Jordan and those Bulls had.
Even like when you get into like the Steve Kerr episode, and like talking about him and like, I didn't know this stuff about his dad until I watched the documentary.
My dad left UCLA and became the president of the American University in Beirut.
AUB's acting president was kidnapped from the campus 3 months ago. AUB's new president believes Dodge is still alive.
If I'd gotten here on time on the 1st of July, it might have been me instead of him who was kidnapped.
Malcolm was visible American. He was representing a government that were contrary to that sectarian militia. I was told that Malcolm had been shot on the phone.
The president of the American University in Beirut was shot in the head by 2 gunmen posing as students.
My phone rang in my dorm at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I knew something was up, and he just said, Steve, I have terrible news.
And so I was just like, wow, like to overcome that and like, I mean, and then obviously become such an amazing coach as well. Like,
and broadcaster and front office guy. He's like been able to do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, it's just One, and it also unfortunately retroactively ruined my childhood. I mean, actually, the person that put the chink in the armor of Michael Jordan for me was actually Trey, because
Me?
Trey was, yes, you were the first person that told me a story about Michael, which we can't get into, which he had knowledge of, about Michael Jordan just being so competitive. I'll say that much. And so it kind of affected me. And then once I saw this, I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that story was 100% true, I bet.
Yeah. No, that
Yeah.
was so, what was so interesting too with that was when they talked about the innuendo that his betting resulted in his dad's
Dad,
murder.
it's so horrible.
It is horrible, and it's horrible to say. He was composed when he talked about that.
Yeah.
When his dad was murdered, the speculation that came out, it was not journalism's finest hour.
The violent death sparked a half-dozen theories about the motive, some including possible connections to gambling.
Can you imagine how your father gets killed and now they're blaming you? I mean, that was really cheap shot stuff.
It did hurt, but you had people that were throwing darts who wanted to hurt me anyway. It wasn't from the people that I loved and people that cared. It was the people that, got tired of me being on top.
When they got to the part of people saying he was a tough teammate and he was hard on them, that was when he started to lose his composure and had to take a break. And I'm like, that's what made you cry and feel like you can't talk about it anymore? Like,
yeah.
You were a tough teammate?
Was he a nice guy? It couldn't have been nice. With that kind of mentality he had, you can't be a nice guy.
I think that intensity has come at the expense of being perceived as a nice guy.
I don't know. I mean, winning has a price. So I pulled people along when they didn't want to be pulled. I challenge people when they don't want to be challenged. And I earned that right because my teammates didn't endure all the things that I endured.
Michael Jordan is down in pain.
Once you join the team, you live at a certain standard that I played the game. And I wasn't going to take any less. One thing about Michael Jordan was he never asked me to do something that he didn't fucking do. When people see this, they're going to say, well, he wasn't really a nice guy. He may have been a tyrant. That's you. Because you never wanted anything. I wanted to win, but I wanted them to win and be a part of that as well. It is who I am. That's how I played the game. That was my mentality. If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way. Break.
I don't know. I was like, this cat's weird.
Well, I think the difference is because of how, again, going back to his competitiveness and how much, regardless of sport, the elite athlete, they literally, every decision they make, everything they do, all the stuff they're doing is for one singular goal.
Yeah.
So there's a certain level of, I don't even know what word to call it.
It's a thing. It's like this thing they possess. I mean,
right.
How do you get to where, I mean, it's almost mythical.
I think he's justifiable in being hard on, being a tough teammate and pushing them the way he was. That's why I feel like he shouldn't have cried over it.
But I think it's that, there was the talk, particularly early in his career, that he was all the stuff you heard about Kobe. It's what they were saying about Jordan, but there wasn't the same 24/7 news cycle.
Same with Magic. Magic, yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of that kind of teammate beef and all that kind of stuff, it probably weighed on him early, and it probably lessened when they were winning and he was proven right. But it's still it's got to be something there that there was so much of. And then for him to haul off and punch Steve Kerr in a practice,
right?
Whatever that is in him that made that possible is still something he probably has a little difficulty dealing with. Because I remember seeing it even when he was with the Wizards, he's diving on the floor for loose balls at the end of his career. And, that some of the style of NBA player, the personality of NBA player changed a little bit. So you're not seeing that same level from those other guys. It's just kind of dealing with all of that. You got to want it as much as me. How can you not want it as much as me?
Yeah.
Still don't get crying about that, over crying about being basically accused of being the reason your dad was murdered.
Yeah.
No, I
That
get
just
what you're
seems-
saying. I just think he lived with the other thing more in some
Yeah,
ways.
maybe he had to deal with the stuff with his dad more directly and get past it emotionally because it's not as important. He didn't get to emotionally deal with the teammate stuff, but
Not to play armchair psychiatrist since I have no degree, but maybe his playing baseball under the number 45 and then coming back to basketball under his dad's number was 45. That's where that came from.
Yeah.
And then coming back to basketball in the number 45, that may have helped serve some catharsis on that in ways that maybe there wasn't catharsis on the other stuff.
I felt like that watching the movie. I kind of felt the same thing watching it. Was
me too.
Yeah. So yeah, The Last Dance definitely won that category for me.
Yeah, for me as well.
Yeah, and it won it for me too.
But it was hard. But Hoop Dreams is amazing. Like that's just
right. That's just super hard.
This is the category where I was deficient. I haven't really seen any of these in their entirety. I've seen parts of Last Dance. I've seen parts of Hoop Dreams. Their legends precede them, and I've seen enough of them to know their greatness. And so,
I would actually say of all of my, like, I know it's silly, but of all the documentaries I've ever seen, The Last Dance is probably in my top 5. Like easily. I think it's just because it was so entertaining and I did so many stories and they balanced it so well because they really
and
took
it's a
time.
rewatcher too. Like you can easily.
I've already watched it twice. Yeah, like it's great. Like I've really enjoyed it.
So good. Just sit and and watch that.
Yeah.
Watch Michael Jordan drink bourbon and smoke a cigar.
So many. How can an elite athlete smoke so many cigars? Like he's just like as soon as he was off the court, he was smoking a cigar.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing. If you're to compare competitiveness between Jordan and Kobe, I think that's where Kobe might get a hair because he was so much more focused on the health side of it too. And
I agree.
Like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's move on to animated family rom movies. That category, not necessarily as difficult. Interesting category though, because of the different kinds of movies in there. And also, and I know the movie starts with this, but before I knew the movie started with this, I kept singing whenever everyone was like putting the bracket together. I would see names so much. I ended up like making up songs or like doing parody songs of the name. So with Love and Basketball, I kept going, Love and Basketball. And of course the movie starts with Love and Happiness. So it ends up not being as original. But
Love and happiness, something that can make you do wrong, make you do right. Love and happiness.
Love and basketball.
Something's wrong
with my jump shot. I'm not a good teammate. Will the WNBA ever be invented?
I kept doing that with that song, and then Glory Road I kept singing as Glory Road. In a week of a point guard's eye, Glory Road. Glory Road.
Well, I couldn't with animated. So we have few physical CDs still in our house. And for some reason, Megan's my wife's got a booklet of CD, and my son has a little CD player in his room. And he right now, and this is before we talked about this, Space Jam soundtrack has been on heavy rotation.
For sure.
Heavy.
That's a legit soundtrack.
That's a legit soundtrack.
I'm just singing those songs legit. I kept doing the Chris Rock song though.
Yeah.
The Chris Rock remake of the Cheech and Chong song.
I got a basketball jump. I got a basketball jump, ooh, baby. Hey, it's better what?
Obsession.
Barry, you want some chicken?
The undeniable passion.
Oh, you call that sexy stuff?
Something.
You know you want some chicken?
Yeah. My person, it's so complicated, but a certain person who is properly canceled in society, his song from this movie is
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Massive.
And like when Luke listens to it, I don't know how to talk to my almost 5-year-old son. Like, this guy's really messed up, but man, could he sing. And he nails it for this one.
Yeah, that's
not
the
as
thing.
much not as much as Gotham City.
Yeah, that one wasn't the same hit.
But that's the thing. I mean, rewatching this movie, not only the fact that that's a beautiful song, but they use it in the right moments.
They use it so well.
I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and running through that open door. I believe.
Michael, what are you doing out here, son? It's after midnight.
Couldn't sleep, Pops.
I believe I can touch the sky. I see me running through that open door.
And like, and I mean, you know, actually, and this is gonna be controversial to say, I actually prefer Seal's version of Fly Like an Eagle to Steve Miller. I know.
Well, that's another well-used song.
Let's see if I remember how to do this.
And because I like Seal's voice more, and so I mean,
that's me too.
That's
the version I hear in my head when the song comes.
Yeah, because I love what he does at the end of the song. In a world full of people. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just
no, it's a great.
Yeah, but I mean, it's your chance. Do your dance at the Space Jam. Come on.
Come on and slam if you wanna jam. Yo, what you gonna do? People in the house, let's go. Say who? Come on, oh, go down and say who?
Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance. Do your dance at the Space Jam. Here's your chance. Do your dance at the Space Jam.
It's down to who?
Space Jam.
That's why the Elite Eight was hard for me, because Love and Basketball beat Space Jam.
Oh wow!
Because it
that was a tough matchup for me. I actually ended up picking Space Jam because I kept singing the songs. Favorite song I did was, I will say, was Heart of the Game. I kept going, I've been trying to get down to the heart of the game. But my knees are weak. And my ankles are shattered, but I'm thinking about a basket.
3-point. Oh, basket.
From downtown.
Can you imagine if they came out with Joanna Man nowadays, though?
Oh, it wouldn't be released.
Yeah.
When we saw Joanna Man when it originally came out, I mean, we didn't see the movie. When the movie was released and we saw about it, Trey and I immediately go to Booze and Buddies.
Yeah.
But there's a whole different context in sports now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially nowadays. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Leah Thomas. I mean, that is everyone's context now for this kind of situation.
Friday I was at Buffalo Wild Wings at lunch, and like I'm watching the games, and also one of the TVs is talking about this, subject, and it was like, yeah.
And they probably did not address. I haven't seen Joanna Man. It was easy for me to say Love and Basketball over it, because even when Joanna Man came out, outside of the context that we have now, I was like, I don't know, that movie looks bad. It was easy for me to dismiss it, but now it is. I wonder if they actually said, "Hey, it's actually really inappropriate," because if some NBA player went into the WNBA the way Joanna Man did, this is not a trans story.
No,
he didn't change hormones. He
using
did nothing
his
differently.
Male privilege to
exactly.
Yeah. Have you seen it, Rob?
Yeah, I saw it when it came out.
So I watched it recently because some user, it's not streaming anywhere, but somebody just posted it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And this is how little the studio cares about it. They haven't pulled it down. And so I texted Jason and I said something to the effect of how the writers failed the movie, but the actors actually cared. So, I mean, if you were to watch it, the actors are still giving it. So you might, people who can turn their brains off might feel a little something here and there. But
there's a good cast. I mean, you got Tommy Davidson and Kevin Pollak's in it, and Vivica Fox. I mean,
and Miguel de Nunez Jr., not super well known, but I mean, he was doing a good job.
He's one of those guys. I feel like this killed his career. Like because he was always good in things. Like
in life.
You were scared, huh? Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
What's your problem? Sitting around looking all sad and shit. This is a release form, man. You getting out this motherfucker. What you sitting around looking all sad for?
What am I gonna do out there, Ray? I can't go home to my mama like this.
Man, that shit you talking is crazy. Your mama gonna be happy to see you when you get home.
Not like this, Ray.
You can't stay here. That's for damn sure. Shit. Fucking release paper sitting over here looking sad. You cheer up, you going home, right? Man, that's good news now. Come on now, you going home. You gonna smile or something? There you go, all right. Where you going, Biscuit?
Oh! Where are you going, boy? Biscuit! Hey, come on, Mom! Shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he just, I don't know why he never really popped off that much. I mean, I know probably one of the reasons why is because, this is
It
so
really might be this
but
movie,
One other thing I'll say about this, and it's similar to what I'd say about like any other bad movies on this, or didn't even make the bracket, is when Richard Donner was making Superman, he posted on the wall the word verisimilitude, and it means the appearance of being true or real. So that's what he wanted to bring to his Superman movie. He wanted to bring that truth to it.
He wants to believe in those myths. And when you can make an audience believe that this is actually happening, that's when you have verisimilitude.
Because the story had to have its own honesty. Everybody had to believe it was real.
Because that's what's needed for any of these kinds of movies that require a lot of leap of faith or suspensions of disbelief, is you have to ground it in something, and you have to create some realism around the magical or fantastical thing that you're creating, or high concept that you're doing. And that's what I think Juwanna Mann was missing. Somebody came up with an idea for a redemption story of this Dennis Rodman, but a much more selfish on the court Dennis Rodman.
I'm the head coach. I call the shots. You may call the shots, but I'm making all the shots, coach. You see that? Well, you may be the coach of this damn team, but I am the team. There isn't a team in this league that wouldn't kill to have a player like me.
That's who Juwanna Mann was. But it wasn't a three-dimensional version of that. Like, where did this guy come from? Why is he this way? And they had this kind of nice relationship between him and his aunt, played by Jennifer Lewis.
No. Sorry.
But that kind of made it make less sense that he was that kind of a selfish guy, that he had the relationship with his aunt that he did. And he went like full on, literally got naked on the basketball court when he got suspended this last time. He had been suspended a bunch of times. It's like, dude, why is he just completely getting naked on the court? Because he's mad that he's being benched. Like, it's just all these kinds of things before you even get to the high concept part of it. Then you get to the high concept part, and it's like, that they have physicals when they sign people up.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Rob, do you know who did the music for Juwanna Mann?
I don't. I'm gonna just guess like Jamiroquai. I don't know who.
Wendy and Lisa.
Wendy and Lisa?
Yeah. The only women involved creatively with that movie.
You can
if you can't tell.
And they were yeah, that's one that I was kind of sad couldn't make this list was Rebound with Martin Lawrence, which I like that movie.
I get why you like it. That is another one where I thought that the actors brought it. Martin Lawrence being great. You had Megan Mullally in a smaller role, but she was still doing her level of quality, and Wendy Raquel Robinson doing great. The kids were great.
The kids
kind of relationship stuff that they built in between how the coaches. It's another redemption story. The coach's redemption story, very similar to Juwanna Mann in terms of the kind of antics.
Yeah, and it's basically bad news bears, for or Mighty Ducks kind of movie.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I understand. I enjoyed the performances, but the movie was stupid.
No, stupid. No,
and that's another one where they didn't bring, like, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of little things. They didn't have anything fantastical in that movie. There's a lot of things they could have done to make it feel real.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some suspension, like Blue Chips is a legit movie, even though it's a number 8 seed. I know we're going to get to that. But the one thing I'll say about Blue Chips,
I'm ready for Blue Chips. Don't worry about that.
So I'm not going to give anything away about that bracket. But what I'll say about Blue Chips is they staged, and same thing in Love and Basketball with Sanaa Lathan's coach in college. They had it where the head coach basically did everything, and the assistants didn't do much. that sort of leap I can understand because you've got Nick Nolte in the role, and you're going to put him on screen as much as possible. And if you give one of the assistant coaches a line, then all of a sudden you got to pay a lot more money instead of them being the extras standing there as the assistant coaches. So a little bit of that movie making kind of tweaks, I understand, but you can't go full on Rebound or Joanna Man stupid.
Yeah.
Switch some of that stuff up.
So what about movies like Forget Paris?
So I love Forget Paris.
I love Forget Paris. Yeah.
I think it's
You
a great
two have
movie,
given your talks on this bracket already?
Not really.
I'll just say quickly, Forget Paris versus Just Right was actually the hardest for me in this division.
I didn't like Just Right. I saw it. I didn't like it.
I've seen Forget Paris, and I was like, well, let me look at the trailer for Just Right because I know about it, but let me just see what I feel from that. And then I familiarized myself with Forget Paris by looking at that trailer. But when I saw Just Right, I was like, I can see how this movie can go wrong, but I bet I would at least like the people in it, except for I don't buy Common as a NBA player because he's 6'1", and that's my biggest problem with a lot of these movies is that they have 6 feet tall people who are major NBA stars, and it's like that's not. I don't think that's as common.
Well, if they're the point guard, they can make it make sense, and that's what I think they did well in Love and Basketball.
But every single one, I mean, Celtic Pride.
Yeah,
it's like every movie except for He Got Game.
Yeah. Or Blue Chips.
Or Blue Chips, yes.
Yeah, but also I'm just not sure if I think Common's a good actor. Like he just goes back and forth. There's some I think he's good in John Wick 2 and some other things, but like I don't know. I can't decide. I like Common a lot. I just don't know if I like him as an actor. I don't know.
So I haven't seen Just Right, but I loved Forget Paris when it was new, and I rewatched it the same day that I rewatched Love and Basketball. So that actually made that a really tough matchup for me because I loved both movies.
Yeah, that was actually a tough match.
Yeah, for different reasons, because I penciled in Love and Basketball before I rewatched both because I thought that was going to be just easy for me.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched Forget Paris first, loved it, and I was like, oh man. And then started watching Love and Basketball. Still loved it. I mean, there's no negative in terms of what made it difficult. It's more, yeah. But I think what almost made me go Forget Paris is that it's lighter.
Yeah.
I guess is more comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the same kind of heavy stuff in terms of the relationship of the main characters, but lighter. And so I think it almost won out just because maybe I wanted to be in a little bit more of a laughing mood at this sort of thing. But then Love and Basketball, there's so many things I can relate to more in that movie.
And it's such a, I mean, obviously basketball is in the title, but it's just such a, that is the heart. And it's such an interesting idea about success and
an interesting way of showing it by doing it as quarters. I thought they did a really good job with that movie, even the stuff that was difficult to sort of make people believe.
But I could believe Billy Crystal being an NBA, and I could totally see him kicking Kareem out of a game in his farewell season.
Game.
So
let me be the first to say farewell.
Farewell. Just because you're having a bad game, don't take it out on me. You're out of here, Kareem. This is my farewell game. Oh, well, let me be the first to say farewell.
But the other line he has is he calls up his friend and he's like, "Hey, do you remember Miss? I can't remember the teacher's name, Miss Johnson from 3rd grade. I don't know. I was just wanting to masturbate tonight." So.
I also loved in the montage of basketball refereeing, he stops with Spud Webb and he said, "You're the only one I can talk to."
I forgot about that line.
That's a funny one. Yeah.
I didn't rewatch it. I just remembered a lot about it. But yeah.
That's a great movie. Yeah. And rewatching the trailer, I realized just how romantic the cinematography was. Like they did such a good job getting really good shot. Like that looked like a big time movie. So
also just like, isn't it a crying shame that Deborah Winger didn't make more movies?
Yeah, it is.
She apparently left because her mom got sick like shortly after this movie.
Oh, really? Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
She's so amazing.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor and get a box of tissues and watch An Officer and a Gentleman and then follow it with Terms of Endearment. And I do think it's funny though that like we've not talked at all about
Yeah, I
A New
know.
Legacy, like not even a second. But A New Legacy sucked.
Yeah, New
Like,
Legacy was sorry.
Yeah,
Space Jam, the original Space Jam was great.
Special
Right.
Space Jam's undisputed. It was, but Love and Basketball to me is just it's a better film. It's a better
Yeah,
film.
I had to go with nostalgia on that, and I actually ended up going Space Jam, but I could have
That's
gone
okay.
either way.
I went Space Jam too.
You went Space Jam, A New Legacy? Damn.
No.
Well, you heard
original
it.
Space-
You heard it first.
The original
folks.
Space
He
Jam.
says that LeBron is better than Michael. You've heard it first here.
That movie should have been good. I mean,
It has
better
freaking.
actor, right?
I mean,
They had a kernel of an idea. So it's another one where they had the kernel, but they didn't
They just
go.
didn't execute
they didn't
it
go.
well.
for
it wasn't. Let's say like the fact of like Looney Tunes and it was just such a cool idea. This was just like Warner Brothers was like, hey, how can we use a bunch of our IP in a movie?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
They started with trying to somewhat mirror the original Space Jam, where it's like you see LeBron as the child, and this thing that happened as a child is affecting his future, but it was remixed. It was its own thing. So LeBron as a child playing basketball was going to play video games, and that took his focus off the game. And so the coach is like, you got to focus. And so now LeBron is this taskmaster with his son and isn't listening to the fact that the son wants to build video games and play video games.
See?
What's up, Doc?
Hey, what the hell is this? Oh, snap. Oh, snap, nothing, man. Get your tail on the floor.
LeBron, getting your head in the game starts before you even put one foot on the court.
You could be a once-in-a-generation talent if you focus on the game of basketball and not these...
Gotcha.
Dom, what was that?
An open shot.
And if you're gonna be out here, it's about giving everything that you got.
We having fun.
Everything in between these four lines is work. Come on, Dom. This isn't a game. I need you focusing more instead of playing with these toys.
So that sort of thing, you can make a movie out of that.
Yeah.
They just did it poorly.
But they
did
bailed.
no
They
schlock
bailed
away.
on that movie.
Yeah. Also, don't you think Bronny is a little pissed off that he didn't get to play?
That's what
you know,
I was saying. Like, why the hell is his own son not playing his son?
I
in
don't-
this movie?
Well, Jordan's own children didn't play his children.
I know, but was Jordan's own son a star basketball player in real life?
Yeah.
Not at the time of making Space Jam. So
Yeah.
I don't understand what.
It might have been eligibility issues though.
Ah.
Because this is before the NIL.
Oh yeah.
So when they shot it at least. So they might not have been able to legally do it and keep Bron eligible.
Oh, that makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Boo. Okay. Well, let's move on to dramas. And this one, this really wasn't a necessarily tough category. I mean, I went with Finding Forrester over Glory Road just because I've never seen either of those movies. But
What?
You're the Man Now, Dog.
You've never seen Finding Forrester. You have got to
That's
watch
another
it.
one I watched since we decided we were doing this.
You have got to watch that movie.
Okay.
It is. I'm telling you, it is really
actually good?
Yes,
I was crying at the end.
Really?
it is shockingly good. Yeah.
When it came out, it felt a little like, because it's the same director
It's
as
Gus Van Sant.
and same director as Good Will Hunting, and it felt. I don't know if I thought this or if a lot of people were saying
A
this.
lot of people said it was just like Good Will Hunting when it came out.
Okay.
It wasn't really.
It's
It was his
not.
own thing.
Okay, that's unfortunate then.
Two things that are in common are the main character is poor and extremely intelligent, but the other factor is he's also a really good basketball player. And the
Mhm.
reason he's succeeding is because of his basketball playing and not because people appreciate his academics. But the scene between him and F. Murray Abraham when
Mhm.
they do the quote off, it's an amazing scene.
Very good, Mr. Wallace. Perhaps your skills do extend a bit farther than basketball.
Further.
I'm sorry?
You said my skills extend farther than the basketball court. Farther relates to distance. Further is a definition of degree. You should have said further.
Are you challenging me, Mr. Wallace?
Not any more than you challenge Coleridge.
Well, perhaps the challenge should have been directed elsewhere. It is a melancholy truth that even
Great men have poor relations. Dickens.
You will hear the beat of a horse's
Kipling.
feet. Man is the only animal
that blushes or needs to. It's Mark Twain. Come on, Professor Crawford.
Get out.
You convinced me.
It's a really good movie. I mean, it's it's criminally underrated. And Busta Rhymes is in it.
But he's actually like, this is the one
He's
time
actually
he was
really good. Yeah.
He was really good in it. Gus Van Sant needs to be the only one directing Mr. Rhymes.
He should direct the next Halloween movie.
Well, I didn't have a tough time with anything in this category. The only thing I had a tough time was Hoosiers versus He Got Game, because, you know, He Got Game. I loved Above the Rim, but it was not hard to say He Got Game over Above the Rim because it's just a more serious, well-made movie.
I'm gonna make you so mad. Out the
And
gate.
I liked Blue Chips when it came out, but Hoosiers is obviously. I mean, like, you know,
No,
just
it's not. No, it's not. No.
Wait your
Let me-
turn, Rob. Wait your turn. I know you want to come with the heat.
Oh my gosh.
But I went with He Got Game in this category over Hoosiers. That was what I ended up putting in my final four. And my final four is He Got Game, Space Jam, but on another day I could have easily said Love and Basketball.
Yeah.
Because it's just a good movie. But man, my heart is tied to Bill Murray and Space Jam so much. Like he's so funny in that.
He's really well.
Oh
He's
gosh.
so well.
You to death.
Again, another part that makes sense.
The NBA has to face reality. What's happening to these players is serious. They're going to need new players with talent. You think I got a shot? Come on, really.
No.
It's because I'm white, isn't it?
No. Larry's white, so what?
Larry's not white. Larry's clear.
Just crushes in that movie.
Wayne Knight was really well used too.
Here we go. Now you're gonna smile. You reach in for the ball, and then you smile, okay?
Yes.
Just take the picture. All right, okay.
What kind of camera is that?
It's just
Would you not point that at me, please, and close the lens
I ain't
cap?
doing that. Just
Yes, he was Be the Ball. Yeah.
Even Bird was well used, and he was barely in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to go with that, but on another day, maybe I would have said Love and Basketball. The Last Dance and Teen Wolf. Those are my final four.
Okay.
Okay. Trey, dramas. What's tough? What ended up being in your final four?
So I know Rob wants to have his say, but
I'll give it to him later.
Hoosiers was easy for me over Blue Chips, even though I really like Blue Chips. I did not see either The Way Back or Coach Carter, so I just went chalk. I went with The Way Back. And then Hoosiers won that matchup. Finding Forrester versus He Got Game was tough for me. It was really tough because, again, they're both excellent movies. And they're both just well crafted. The stories are poignant and very different types of stories about kids from very similar environments. And, you know, again, I was crying at the end of Finding Forrester, cried at the end of He Got Game. And Spike Lee knows when to do that dolly shot.
If man is the father, the sun is the center of the earth, in the middle of the universe, then why is this?
Even if it's not until the credits. He knows when to do
when he
it.
throws the basketball. Yeah.
So
That movie's so great, and arguably one of his top three best. I would say He Got Game, just because, and maybe it's recency bias because I literally finished watching it.
Yeah, that's
when
that's
we
hard.
started the Zoom, but
Yeah.
it's so good. I felt like it worked on so many levels. It addressed so many things I hadn't really seen addressed in a more realistic way. But I just really liked that movie. I thought he crafted one of his best ones. Because his early stuff is obviously a bigger deal than this movie was. But this was still a big movie, He Got Game. And then also, he was a better filmmaker by the time he was making He Got Game. So it works on certain levels that She's Gotta Have It doesn't work on.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And just the layers and all the stuff going on with Denzel, because he seems to have actually been a good husband and good father who just had a bad day.
Quit, man. Man, I quit.
You quit? You better go get my ball.
I ain't did a damn thing.
Why he ain't gonna make it?
Food is fine. Just not hungry.
Where's your daddy?
I don't know and I don't care.
You know, when you throw that ball over the fence, it got lost. Paid my hard-earned money for that basketball. You know that, don't you? You need to learn how to respect other people's property. The ball belonged to me, not to him.
Mommy, can I excuse?
No, you cannot. Sit your ass down.
So I'm finished.
Yeah, well, you ain't excused, though. And I'm your daddy. You're gonna do what I'm gonna tell you to do.
Don't raise your voice. Mary's
You're
sleeping.
gonna do what I tell you to do.
So I'm finished.
What? You hear what I say to you? Huh? You sit down, you sit down. Baby. Wake up, baby. Baby, wake up. Go love.
Really bad day.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that set everything, all the horrible stuff in that family's life set in motion by a good man having a bad day. And you can still, and you can still see him being or trying to be a good man and how he was in jail.
And he's struggling with the decision to try to do this the whole
Right.
time. Yeah.
Right. And the relationship he had with Mila Jovovich,
Yeah.
the sweetness of that. And like you said, Rob, the whole thing with how he approached Jesus with the thing. He was actually giving.
Why'd you name me
advice.
Jesus? It's biblical name.
But how he approached that, because he was really trying to give real advice and connect with his son. And even after he told him why he was out of jail temporarily and how this can set him off, it was just get this anger out of your heart.
Yeah.
Just do what you got to do.
It's right here. It's a letter of intent. I'll play you. 1-on-1. I win, you sign. You win, you do what you want to do. Tear it up, whatever.
You want to play me 1-on-1?
1-on-1.
And if I win, you get the hell out of here?
I ain't studied, son.
The hell out of my life?
Forever.
Bet. You rock.
Bet.
Payback is a bitch, huh?
I can take a loss.
Oh, you just gonna give up, huh?
I ain't giving up.
You just gonna give up?
I'm teaching, brother.
Game time. What you looking around for? That's game, 11-5. Jake, take your old ass back to Attica.
Maybe you can stop hating me. Is that gonna bring your mother back? You look out for yourself. You look out for your sister. You ain't got to worry about me. You get that hatred out your heart, boy, or you're gonna end up just another nigga. Like your father.
Yeah.
It was powerful.
Yeah.
And so that one, that got in the final four out of this bracket for me, though it was tough against Finding Forrester, but it was the final four.
That was a tough one, man.
Yeah.
So was he got game versus Love and Basketball for you on that side?
He got game versus Space Jam. And
okay.
Teen Wolf versus Let's Dance.
Let's dance tonight. Yeah.
Okay, Rob, drama.
Hoosiers is overrated. It's racist, and it's got a great soundtrack. Gene Hackman's great in it, but Blue Chips is a better basketball movie by far.
So explain the races, because I was rewatching
the last game. The big deal with the last game is they're going against a team that has black players, so they're disadvantaged because they're all white. That's why I don't like Hoosiers.
Okay, Rob. The racism is wrong because this is based on real life. If all you're saying is that it's because it's this all white team beating some team with some black players, then it's incorrect.
Well, it's
the movie was based on a real life.
I know it was based on a real life thing.
And the real team that won was all white. The real team that lost had 3 black players. They matched the racial stuff perfectly.
I think it would be more interesting for that team's story. Like, I think their story was probably a lot more interesting. But
they were a big school. It was the fact that it's a super small school.
I know. I've seen the movie 10,000. It was on cable all the time. But I have a legitimate claim for why I like Blue Chips more. For a couple.
It's fine to like it more. It's just
I really do
racism stuff.
But the racism I just wanted to do that. But no,
so you were just being funny. Internet Rob was being funny.
I'm being funny. No, but for my real reason, there's a couple reasons why I like Blue Chips. One, the reason when I got to see it, it was we were traveling and my parents were like tired after traveling. We're in a hotel room, and they said I could rent this movie. And hotels, I know there's some that are still just, you can rent, like they're kind of coming out of the theater, but they're not on video yet, so they cost a little bit more. My parents never let me rent movies at a hotel, but they let me rent Blue Chips. And so in that sense, it's meant a lot to me. So we've talked about this before, like when you watch a movie and just when you're at a certain age, and just for me, that was right when Shaq and Penny were blowing up. And I mean, obviously Bobby Knight was still very much in the zeitgeist. And I think Nick Nolte is amazing in it.
Nick Nolte shadowed Bobby Knight for a year.
Yes, he
and
did.
You can see that in his performance and the style of that coach. Yeah.
Okay, that movie is directed by William Friedkin, who's one of the greatest directors of all time. It's got the best basketball I've ever seen in a basketball movie, I personally think, because they played for real. They played for real. And actually they played against Indiana for like 2 games. And Indiana technically.
Well, the fake Indiana, because that was Bobby Hurley. And
but you know what I'm saying? So they have real basketball in it. It's really, really prescient for times now about talking about gambling and think about how like gambling is becoming widely legal now, and point shaving, and then obviously now we've already just kind of hinted at it, but I mean, player empowerment, it's kind of, I think about like the fact that Calipari gets paid $8 million and lost in the first round. Like but then like his players can't make any money. Like that's bullcrap, you know what I mean? And so that this movie has to do with that. You think about, all of the characters in it, from Penny's character to actually Shaq didn't want the money. He just wanted to play. He was just dumb and couldn't pass the SAT.
Actually, he could. He just thought it was racially biased. So
that's right.
So he was actually pretty bright.
But William Friedkin directed it. Ron Shelton, the great Ron Shelton, who directed White Men Can't Jump, wrote this movie. And it has one of my all-time favorite character actors of all time, Mr. J.T. Walsh, who is just awesome. He's like, I own you.
I didn't break any laws. You did. You broke the collegiate athletic laws. It's your career. I own you. I just opened my mouth. Rumors start to fly about you, for instance.
Like, that scene is so good when he finds out that one player was shaving points. I just think it's a great basketball movie. I think it's really good. And I love the ending of him. He wins this big game. Everyone thinks they're going to win, go on to win the national championship. And he just walks out. He tells them what they did and he walks out.
The rules don't make much sense, but I believe in the rules. Now, some of us broke them. I broke them. I can't do this. I can't win like this. So tomorrow, I'll talk to you all individually about your futures here. I love you all very much. A hell of a game you played.
And then he's coaching middle school, like these kids, because he still loves the game.
You're too good a basketball player to shoot that two-handed jump shot. When you go for your jump shot, get your shooting hand behind the ball. And when you go up, and then release the ball and follow through. Drop that arm down.
I think the basketball is great. And also, I once made eye contact with Shaq, so I'm always going to pick Shaq over Shoot. So, what's the player's name in Hoosiers? Was it Shooter? No.
Shooter.
Who was the
Jimmy
star?
Chitwood? Jimmy Chitwood?
Chitwood. That's who it was. Yeah. So I had Blue Chips winning that. Blue Chips actually goes all the way to the final 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, you got it over He Got Game?
I did. I got it over He Got Game.
Well,
just because of when it hit and the basketball in it.
You're wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong.
No, I think I understand Blue Chips over Hoosiers because it's a legit movie. I think what took in terms of picking Hoosiers over Blue Chips, there were just a couple things that took me slightly out of Blue Chips. Like Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, he's the reporter. Yeah.
He's the reporter. And just like, how's he got pictures of everybody getting the tractor and the car and stuff? I mean, it's not as far. It's not like Joanna Man or Rebound kind of stupid, but it's like, come on, man, you're not gonna. Yeah. I mean, and there are just a couple other things like that throughout the movie, but otherwise it's legit. But that's how Hoosiers could win relatively easily for me, even though I really like Blue Chips.
Not to get too much into the scoring details, but Blue Chips was decidedly not in the top 8 of the drama movies going by critic scores. Like, it is bottom 3.
Yeah, but I think about when it came out and the critics didn't get it, what it was talking about too.
Sure.
Yeah, because there was probably some inside baseball stuff they didn't get.
But
They
like,
didn't get.
fans don't like it much more. Rotten Tomato fans gave it a 51.
What year did it come out?
Rotten Tomatoes garbage, by the way. Sorry.
Mid-90s.
It was
'Cause
like
I was in junior high.
It was like
so it
93 or
early to mid.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 93.
I'm wondering if it's because of kind of being around basketball folks that I was hearing about it more. Because I had
They were talking about it at school. And it
Yeah,
wasn't
so
like
I-
basketball.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal.
But it was Shaq.
when it
But it
came
was
out.
Shaq in a movie too.
Shaq and Penny.
I based off of kind of the talk I was around, I would have guessed that fans gave it better scores. I mean, it's similar to Teen Wolf in that way. I think Teen Wolf is a better movie.
Well, I'll tell you, most movies, if critics dislike it, fans like it more. It's just that there were a lot of movies that, you know, the fans didn't like it that much more, or it was still kind of a tepid sort of response. Like Rotten Tomatoes is 37 for this, whereas the fans were 51. The Metacritic was 54, the fans were 66. Like that's still kind of middling. There's only I don't remember offhand what movie it was, but there was something where Rotten Tomato, it's very rare that this happens, but Rotten Tomato had a low score and then the fan score was actually lower.
Yeah.
It's like a 36 was what the critics gave it, and then the fans were like, "No, you're wrong. It's even worse than that."
Yeah.
But that's not something that got in the bracket.
Yeah.
Like it's something that was.
I think my other problem with Hoosiers ultimately when I rewatched it like maybe like a year ago, I can't. Dennis Hopper is just before he died was just so insane, and so I can't. I know he's great in that movie, but I can't enjoy him. I just don't enjoy Dennis. I don't. It's like when I go back and watch John. I can't watch movie. John Voight has ruined a lot of amazing movies.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I can't get. It's
Yeah.
just same with James Woods. Like James Woods was a great actor.
He was
I
like
hate-
one of
he's
the guys in the 90s.
garbage human being,
Yeah,
and so
well,
I can't enjoy. It was the same reason why I can't enjoy Usual Suspects anymore. You know, like I can't watch Kevin Spacey.
It's
like,
hard
and I can't
to watch these
yeah.
people, these figures when they've had that. That's why, and I'm, maybe Trey will put it in the thing again. That George Clooney saying, "I don't know why people have a Twitter."
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
whole discussion. Clooney has talked about this problem with movies where, like, if people have this notion of you, and it's hard to shake that when you're trying to play a role, you're trying to
It
play
is,
someone
and it's
different
just
than
hard.
you.
It's hard, yeah.
And so it's.
I feel bad.
Also, by the way, it makes absolutely no sense to me that George Clooney has not played a basketball coach. He's a big time basketball player. He loves it. He's believable to me as a basketball coach more than a lot of people who's played basketball coaches.
Do yourself a favor. Do go back and watch The Way Back and Finding Forrester. The Way Back is very good.
Okay.
It's really interesting because it doesn't end. It doesn't follow the formula, and it's more about somebody dealing with tragedy, but it's also a lot about basketball. I mean, there's a lot of basketball.
About Batman? Is that what,
it's about Batman. It's about Batman. Yeah.
That's part of what made, going back to the winning season, I mean, that part of what made that great is it dealt with a lot of non-basketball stuff, but they also got the basketball stuff right.
Yeah, and that's for me. I mean, Hoosiers did get the basketball right. I just can't get past some of the stuff. But I just love Blue Chips. It just again, it's just one of the people be like, this guy's crazy, but I was like, yeah, it made it to the final two. And I got Shelton versus Shelton. Just spoiler alert. So, what was your final four, Jason?
He got Game, Space Jam, The Last Dance, and Teen Wolf. And in the finals, The Last Dance, and he got Game. And I haven't picked a winner yet because I'm having a tough time knowing what to pick.
Wow, that's okay. What was yours again, Trey?
So I had Teen Wolf versus Last Dance, and he got Game versus Space Jam, which that final four by itself surprised me a little bit, just because I didn't think I would have Teen Wolf or Space Jam getting that far. But
yeah,
those are the two movies that matched against each other in the championship, was Teen Wolf and Space Jam. And let me just say a couple more things about those two movies. We hadn't talked too much about Space Jam, but the last thing I'll say about Teen Wolf is some great foreshadowing that they did. Another great thing about the writing, the directing, the acting is, so the story near the end of the movie that Scott's dad tells him about how when Howard was a teenager, the vice principal was trying to go after Scott's mom.
Oh yeah.
And she didn't want to. Made him piss
himself. And
as you know, I loved your mother since we were kids. We always knew we were meant for each other. And Rusty Thorne set his cap for her too. And no matter what we tried, he just wouldn't go away. Things got a little physical
And you turned into the werewolf.
Out of anger, Scott.
Was he scared?
He lost control of his bodily functions.
I wish I could have seen that.
So we hear that story at the end of the movie. Rewind back to the very first time Scott wolfs out in a basketball game. They cut to the vice principal, and he covers his crotch and stands behind the stands.
Oh, wow.
And like the whole build up to that too.
Yeah,
because like we see that the vice principal has something sort of against Scott, but not so outwardly so. Like he's just kind of keeping an eye. And even when Scott like leaves the hair in the sink, even before the wolf out, like there's this stuff going on where the vice principal is kind of watching Scott, but you don't know why until that story near the end. And so when you rewatch the movie, it's like there's this whole other context to those interactions, and they set it up beautifully. Just great stuff.
So my final four was White Men Can't Jump, The Last Dance, Blue Chips, and Love and Basketball.
Yeah, it's a good one because that's White Men Can't Jump and Love and Basketball on Another Day would have been in my.
So I had White Men Can't Jump, took it.
Yeah,
they took it.
That's legit.
And if you know me, why the number one reason, it's not just the basketball, which Wesley Snipes is not nearly as good at basketball in real life as Woody Harrelson was.
Yeah, didn't Woody Harrelson play in real life?
Yeah, he played in real life. That's what I mean, because he's also in semi-pro as well.
Yeah.
The climactic aspect of this, besides the game, was Rosie Perez goes on Jeopardy and straight dominates, which is my lifelong dream. So any movie that involves Jeopardy, I'm going to love it. So I mean, we haven't talked a lot about White Man Can't Jump. It is so funny.
That's a fun movie. I love that movie.
Good movie.
I want to see it again.
He is so like both of them are so good together. I know you made some joke on Twitter, Jason, about how they like Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson should have made way more movies together.
They've only done.
I think Money Train is what derailed it. Probably.
I don't know why
that movie didn't do well.
It was good. Maybe
I enjoyed it,
but it's like Billy's story, and it's so good. He's such a good character, and so is Sydney. Like they're both great characters. Again, it's Ron Shelton directed it, and I really can't stress like Ron Shelton. Look him up. He's one of the best sports movies because he also did a little film called Bull Durham, which I could easily say might be my favorite. If it wasn't for Moneyball, Bull Durham would be my favorite baseball movie, but Moneyball edges it out. Because Moneyball is by far my favorite baseball movie, but Bull Durham's up there. And I think the guy just made great sports movies. And so he also wrote Blue Chips, and he did White Men, and so I went with White Men.
Okay.
Don't say it like that.
Huh?
Don't say it like that.
I know. I always choose
win
white
against
men.
the blacks.
I always choose white men over black men. Like what? Blue Chips.
You always bet on black.
Always bet on black. That's Wesley. Ugh. People should know. As much as I love Nino Brown, of course I'm going to go with a movie with Nino Brown in it. So.
So Jason doesn't know his winner. Rob went.
I
with
think
White
I just
Men
picked
Can't
it.
Jump.
And what did you go?
What was yours?
For your winner.
I went with Last Dance.
Trey, what was your winner?
So my winner. Wolf.
Okay, that makes sense.
I do love that movie.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that the basketball is not the greatest in that movie,
that is a thing that can take you out of it. It's, but the movie's so good.
And and ultimately, when I'm thinking about the bracket, that's actually the most important thing is how is the basketball in the movie, and that's why I like Blue Chips so much because the basketball is really good in it. But I just think that White Men Can't Jump is a way better movie. So.
I on Another Day I could see White Men Can't Jump going all the way.
Yeah,
because that was another tough matchup for me was Teen Wolf versus White Men Can't Jump. So that's legit.
Rob, what did you say ended up as your number one?
White Men Can't Jump.
Okay. And
And
what
we
was in
can't.
the championship?
White men versus blue chips.
You're just gonna keep saying it
I'm
that
gonna
way.
keep saying it, guys.
Well, Last Dance is my winner, but on another
It's-
day, could have been White Men
Let's
Can't
dance.
Jump, or He Got Game, or Love and Basketball. This was a hard bracket when it came to those matchups, but I was also really happy with how the seedings turned out. I do wish I could have gotten Rebound or Sixth Man in
Sixth
the mix.
Man. Yeah. That was actually
But
pretty
they
good one.
there was no way to make them work in there. It was
Yeah.
just it was too bad. But
He had to get He had to get Thunderstruck, which we didn't even say one time.
yeah, I know, but Thunderstruck was at least in that other. Yeah, it is. But it's at least in that other category. It's not in the same category.
I know.
Yeah, it was like a boot. I haven't seen Thunderstruck, but from the commercials from the trailer, it looks like a bootleg like Mike.
Yeah.
I saw something about it years ago, not when it came out, but a few years ago. I saw that it existed. And I went, "What the hell is this movie?" I didn't.
The
even know
only
it
thing that would have made Thunderstruck better is if, for a while, Kevin Durant wanted to go by the Grim Reaper. It should have been him, like, he gives the kid the power of the Grim Reaper. And so everyone gets Thunderstruck. Also, it's really hard to watch, think about Kevin Dare when he never won a championship and then immediately went to the Warriors and won a championship.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, I don't know.
That's how he got his game back. He switched game with.
He went with the best best shooter of all time. Yeah, I said it. Steph's the best shooter of all time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. I hope you put your bracket together and share it with us online. It's out.
I was all alone.
If you
Oh,
can
no.
see it.
Then you can do it.
Oh, my
Robert,
God.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. About it, man. Why does he such a
I keep
douche in real
trying
life?
to get down to the heart of the game, but my
Actually,
knees are weak.
End on seal. End on seal. That's much better. That's like an eagle to see, gonna fly like an eagle and have sex with Heidi Klum.
Not no more.
Oh, cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. They're not together anymore. Well, if you were wondering what the sketch group that did the Teen Wolf bit was, that group was Summer of Tears, and we'll have a clip of what I referenced in the YouTube version of this episode. Go to youtube.com/thereitis and subscribe so you can be notified when it goes up. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ThereItIsPod, and follow me on Twitter at JasonFarJokes and Instagram at JasonFarPics. Also subscribe to our comedy lifestyle newsletter and support us if you can. We have a Patreon and a PayPal. Go to ThereItIsPod.com for newsletter and support info. Links in bio. Be on the lookout for that bonus episode. Until next time, be good to each other.
The music for the theme song was created by Neil Brooks. The rap was written and performed by Nick Acevedo. The logo for There It Is was created by Jeff Prater. The There It Is podcast is produced by Jason Farr.
The ball is tipped.